Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our second episode of Who Really Won the Wrestling War. Fan guy, how's it going?
It is going good, my man. Another day in this beautiful planet Earth. How are you doing?
I agree. Another day in paradise, we'll say for today, I guess.
That's it.
Well, we're moving into our second month now of February of 1989. WCW is kind of a pain in my ass right now, but how's the viewing for you this go round?
I think it'll be interesting by the end when my scores come out, because I actually had one thing in my head, and then when I went back and reviewed my notes from actually watching all the shows or skimming most of them, I was a little surprised at what I thought most of the time. So I'll say, I think some of the initial spark of nostalgia that I had on the last episode kind of went away a little bit, and I think I have a little bit more of a balanced view of the two companies on this episode. So yeah, I actually have quite a few changes.
I think I feel quite the opposite. Both shows did go down for me this month, but one went way down. But we'll get to that.
The entertainment on both of them was not great, like for me. But I still had one of them going up and one of them going down. But yeah, the brain, it just like, it's great, but it's like, okay, like he's carrying the load for WWF, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I still definitely agree with that for sure. But I feel like, well, we'll get to it. I guess once again, to explain how we're doing this, we're just going by entertainment here of who really won the wrestling war. And if whoever has the highest average grade at the end of this podcast gets 4 points. Last week, it was the WWF getting the 4 points, so they are off in the lead. One more thing I wanted to mention before we get into this: Butch Reed passed away yesterday, and he's a part of this WCW. You know, I was kind of wondering, because, the wrestlers, they just be dying a lot.
Bro, yeah, they know they do. I don't know if it's because of what they put their bodies through, or I know a lot of them take substances that affect their physiology, and those guys are notorious just alcoholics for the most part, because they're on the road so much. So they do a lot of partying. But RIP Butch Reed, man, I'm surprised I didn't see that.
This won't air until April probably, but we're doing this a day after. And I was always wondering, like, at what point in this podcast is somebody we're talking about going to pass away? Second episode.
One of the featured people. Yeah, no shit. Wow.
So yes, condolences to his family, but
absolutely.
We will go ahead and start with WCW again. I guess I kind of want to start off talking about all the... It's just transition period for sure, because they just be losing everybody.
Yeah, it was funny. Last, we didn't even really talk about, and I didn't realize it happened. I actually had to go to Wikipedia and look up some shit to find out, because I was like, where's J.J. Dillon? Why is Matsuda taking over all of his people? Because basically they just said, we're going to quietly move J.J. Dillon out, and he turned into a Asian man. What is, like, it was not a seamless transition, because I was going like, what the heck? And they didn't even say bye or anything. His last promo was just him and Matsuda. So I guess, I don't know, man. But yeah, that was a big shocker for me whenever I realized that he's no longer around. He is now in the WWF on their talent relations team.
Yep, he is, along with Tony Schiavone, who also went over to the WWF. I think there was somebody else. I'll find it somewhere in my notes, but those two were the
That's why Magnum TA was on the mic then.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And not the best replacement. Magnum TA is not the best announcer going right now.
No, I concur for sure.
Well, on this February 4th show, the big thing was Magnum TA started the episode with Ross. That's what I have written down. And then Matsuda again, he's with all the people J.J. Dillon was with. And I wonder if that is...
Boom!
And I wonder if that is why they're keeping all these people separate rather than, the Four Horsemen.
It has to be part of it. I mean, partially it's because there aren't Four Horsemen, I guess. But, man, apparently obviously not Nature Boy so much, but all the people JJ was managing, Butch Reed and stuff, it's obviously guys that they don't have necessarily the biggest faith on their mic skills. So it's not like Matsuda's.
No, he's not. He's gonna coming in with mic skills.
What is he adding to that element?
I have no idea. It's an odd choice. I don't really. I guess there was nobody else they could have got as a manager right now. I don't know.
All the good ones, I guess, were already working with people and established with those people.
Yeah. The other thing I got for this show, I mean, just continuing the Eddie Gilbert broken nose, even though it disappeared soon after that, I noticed.
Yeah. I mean, you know, like I said, most of the WCW shows and the WWF shows, for me, they're just not that interesting because it's almost all squash matches. They're all furthering feuds and stuff for their big events, which is why, and that's kind of what I noticed on this month for both shows. If you have a pay-per-view and the other company doesn't, you probably had the better matches because like there's nothing but squash matches. So the big thing for me was that JJ was gone on this one when I finally realized it. I have a big Y next to Dick Murdoch. I know he's like a legend, but the dude just has nothing going for me. Like no charisma, no exceptional ring ability. I literally have Dick Murdoch again. Why? With like 1,000 Ys on my notes because I'm just like, what the heck, man? Steamboat had a handicap match against Dustin Rhodes, which I thought was interesting.
That was cool.
Seeing Dustin Rhodes pre-Gold Dust, all that. Yeah, but no, other than that, nothing great. Even the Steamboat promo I have just kind of meh.
Yeah.
Oh, there were a lot of off-color jokes. I'll just leave it at that. There was a lot of off-color jokes on this particular episode. Some by Cornette and some by Michael Hayes.
Yeah. Cornette's also I didn't like his promos this month. It wasn't just the off-color. It was just they were lame.
Yeah, they didn't have the same. I agree. They didn't have that same.
Yeah.
I don't mind the off-color jokes for me because it was a different time period. And for me, it's all about the intention behind it. Like if somebody says something, if they say it in a, I don't know, if they have no hateful or mean intent behind it. And I don't feel like Cornette, even with the stuff he's saying, you could tell it was just a different time. So I don't hold that against him, but I do agree with you. He's just not as dynamic as he seemed to be the last month.
Yeah, I agree. He does also kind of lacks the timing that Brain does have when it comes to jokes.
Brain's just perfect. I think Cornette lacks the self-deprecation of Brain.
Yeah, that's true.
Part of what makes Brain appealing for me is that, yes, he's Bobby the Brain. He leads the family. He's the smartest man in the world. But he's also so self-deprecating in a childish sort of way. And Cornette, I think, could use some of that because he just comes off as a super cocky, whatever. But look at him. He's Jim Cornette. Like Hall of Fame manager / commentator / whatever for wrestling. But it just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else from this show other than those off-color comments. And I write down a note for you that you were going to hate something they were doing of just teaming up Sting with Junkyard Dog and Michael Hayes.
Yeah, I have that. I have that written here. I just don't like. You could see what I'm saying. They clearly are trying to feature Sting. They're trying to feature JYD. So they're just like, oh, let's just smash them together because we only have time for one match. I get it, but I don't love it.
Yeah, and I felt like that was a lot of things in WCW this month, just kind of throwing things together.
Agreed. Outside of Flair, Steamboat, and
they're definitely carrying the company.
Yeah, big time.
Well, on to the February 11th TV show. This is what I like about I think I pointed this out last week, the Flair and Steamboat feud is just how different they are, and they keep driving this into. Flair does a good job of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked his whole promo on
his opening promo was amazing.
Yes, it was. It was a great promo.
You're a one-woman man, but not me, baby. I'll walk the streets with LaToya Jackson if I want. Woo!
So good. That was so good.
What else do you want?
Yeah. Now, there was another interesting jobber on this show against Luger. It was a young Billy Gunn. I don't know if you noticed.
No, was that who it was?
Yes, it was.
Oh,
Kip Montoya was
squash
Billy
match. I didn't realize. Oh man, I'm adding that for no reason in particular. I'm gonna go back and watch it probably. Oh, that's awesome.
So they do have some notable jobbers that I guess eventually become something in the business.
I mean, they're all going by different names, and they look way younger. So I mean, yeah, because most of them I just have straight. I actually quit calling them jobbers. I'm trying to be some of them. Usually I'm just writing squash match, but I still call him Jobber Horowitz and stuff like that. So, and we got more off-color cornet jokes.
Yeah, this was actually the promo that I found the lame. It was the lame. It just, I don't know. It wasn't very effective.
No. Nope. He was trying. It was almost like he was trying for cheap laughs with that humor.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work for me. Even going back to that time, it just didn't work for me.
No, I agree. This was another shorter episode. I guess the main thing was the main event with Paul Ellering teaming up with the Road Warriors against the Varsity Club.
Ellering's in pretty good shape, man.
Yeah,
I didn't see that coming when he would take off his little thing. He's like ripped. I was like, okay, Ellering, I see you, Doc. Luger had a bad promo that he slipped up in that I thought was funny too.
Yeah.
I think he called himself said he was going for the heavyweight title or something, and then you could tell he messed up, and then he was just uncomfortable with the rest of the promo. And there's something about that psychology that I found great because like the first 20 seconds of the promo were amazing, and as soon as he slipped up with his words, he's like, you could just tell he's in his head the rest of the promo. Little things like that. Just
I feel his pain. I get like that on these podcasts sometimes.
And we had Hayes and Murdoch doing our right. Hayes and Murdoch doing the Sting JYD thing from the week before. I still don't know why they're trying to make Murdoch into something here.
They're just putting Hayes with everybody.
Yeah, and I get that because Hayes for me is like he oozes charisma.
He has charisma for sure.
Like he's good, but they keep they're putting him with the guys who need him. I guess
He's getting tossed around.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the over-the-top rope DQ.
Yes.
Was something notable from this episode because when it happened, I'd actually forgotten about that rule, bro. I'm not even gonna lie.
No, me too.
And then I was like, wait, what? The match ends because somebody got thrown.
I mean, I want them to implement that today. I'm sick of them jumping over the top ropes.
That would be every match nowadays if that rule was still in place.
It'd make them have to have actual psychology.
Yeah. I did have a FFS written by that finish though, because I don't like, this is, I think one of my big problems, which we'll get to in a little bit with some of the WWF stuff too, is I want some finishes, man. I want some finishes. And I don't like the fact that anytime you have superstar versus superstar in this era,
they can't give a win.
No, bro, there's no clean finishes. So that, I thought the over the top rope thing is interesting for sure.
Yeah, I think we're going to be stuck with those kind of finishes for a while, unfortunately.
Yep.
The main story on the Road Warriors and Paul Ellering was the injury to Ellering. That's what I had written down.
Yeah, and it just looks like they were setting up that match. They're about to have that title match at one of the next two at a Chi-Town Rumble. So I think it was just more to promote that. But they're the U.S. tag titles, which I also thought which is cool. I wish they'd bring back U.S. tag titles again.
True.
You could promote more tag teams.
Yeah. Well, I guess that brings us to the shit show that was Clash of Champions 5. It was just a shit show. I was getting annoyed as the show went on.
I agree. For a show that wasn't a weekly show, this show sucked balls.
It did.
Like I have Luger versus Blackmailer. Who the fuck is the Blackmailer? And why are we using him?
Yeah, they just like throwing these random masked guys out, and we're just like, Who are these people?
I'm wondering if it's like some of their jobbers, and they're just like,
It is. I'm pretty sure.
Somebody who's not a clear jobber. We're gonna mask you up and call you the or the blackmailer.
I feel like they did this a number of times in this month, where there was just a new random masked guy.
Yep, and mass tag teams all the time. The best part of this show for me was Flair again with all the girls in the ring and the steamboat brawl. Other than that, this was terrible.
I agree. The brawl made the show. Steamboat and Flair. I liked Steamboat was out with his kid once again, driving that up, going forward. And then, yes, Flair out with the girls. I enjoyed.
I called it the dad promo by Steamboat. And there's a lot of that. That's his thing. Yeah. It's like Family Man versus Playboy.
Exactly.
That's really what they're going at here. And I don't remember what the Steiner promo was specifically, but apparently it made me laugh. There was something about Rick Steiner's promo on this card that made me laugh. I'm guessing he was acting like a dog or talking to a dog or, acting slow.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the more entertaining parts of the show, honestly, is Rick Steiner.
It's bad when Rick Steiner's promo is my second favorite part of this pay-per-view type show. Other than that, just a bunch of squash matches.
It really was.
And at the end.
Yeah, they didn't even give us the advertised match.
Right. Like, what is this?
Nothing on this show worked.
Happened.
I think the only decent match was Varsity Club versus Fantastics, but even that wasn't anything special.
No. Nope. Nope.
But yeah, so Kevin Sullivan locks Sting, Junkyard Dog, and Michael Hayes in a cage, which makes the Varsity Club go against the Road Warriors. And that ends in a fucking DQ because then Sting, Junkyard Dog, and Michael Hayes get out and cause a disqualification.
Out right in time to cause the DQ before we can get a clean finish on the match. I want some clean finishes, man. I want finishes. I just want some.
Yeah, I think they should have fired George Scott after this event, but they didn't. They waited another 2 months to fire him.
Oh yeah. Boy, and then starting with the next show on the 18th, they just decide to bring in Captain fucking Charisma, Dangerous Danny Spivey. I'm convinced if you're called Dangerous Danny, you suck. Dangerous Dannies suck. And this guy sucks.
Yeah, it's just another weird gimmick that doesn't really bring anything to the Varsity Club or to anything. I remember Spivey having a good gimmick in the time where WWF has a bunch of terrible gimmicks, but this gimmick is not it.
No, the Varsity Club's just like, let's throw your college jacket on you. If you went to college, you can join us.
Well, I guess he fits in as well as fucking Kevin Sullivan does, I guess.
Touche. I'd actually say he fits in better, but Kevin Sullivan's just way better on the mic. Spivey, his promo, which I think was either on this one or the next show, was just awful when they gave him a chance to go with it. He was so intense, but it was an intense, like Ricky Bobby intense. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know I'm supposed to say it like this.
Yeah.
And wow, it was bad. This guy, WCW's talent pool.
It ain't great. They needed some work. They did have the Samoan SWAT team also debut in this episode.
Yeah, those guys are good.
I like that tag team. I don't know if anything's going to come of it, but
they will actually. Yeah. Well, they were either in the WWF right before this or after this as something Islanders.
Yeah, I think they were both before and after this, probably.
Yeah, they ended up having a good tag run.
I had one more note going from them debuting on this February 18th episode. Is just that, like, I enjoy tag team wrestling. It was really good, and there's a bunch of good tag teams. But when there's a bunch of bad tag teams, which I find like there is right now in WCW, it's so bad. It's so bad.
No, I agree. It's all just squash matches against jobbers with masks on. Oh, we can't have these guys on. Let's give them a mask. Call them the executioners or whatever, and we'll just throw them in a match. My favorite part of this 18th episode by a mile was the debut of, I believe, Vincent Young, who I am calling Captain America meets busting on through to Electric Boogaloo. Because this dude breaking on through the blue, this dude comes out in his Captain America, all Captain America out, but bro, dude's breakdancing and shit in the ring, like it just doesn't makes no sense. But I loved it. Maybe it was just because the rest of this was so not entertaining that the dude coming out with the moves is like, I don't know, bro. I don't know where they found this gimmick. Like, let's make this dude look like Captain Patriot, but who breakdances? I'm lost, but I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you have nothing else going on, those kind of things stand out.
Yeah, you can't have Ric Flair in every segment.
Unfortunately.
And Luger's actually okay on the mic. I have that written. He's got the traditional babyface sort of promos going on. The Road Warriors used an interesting finisher, top rope power slam that I don't remember ever seeing them use on this episode. And then Michael Hayes and Dick Murdoch again. Yeah. I don't know, man.
If we're gonna keep seeing that.
And then Steamboat had two different promos on this show that were basically the same exact thing. I think he even said the same exact thing in both promos. I'm not trying to be the man, Ric Flair. Like he said it like almost verbatim, both promos. So you could just tell they're lacking for material here, bro.
That is for sure, which is why I don't understand. I mean, I guess he's only been there a month, so I gotta give George Scott a chance, but like they shouldn't have.
Touche.
Well, that brings us to the pay-per-view. I'll go ahead and go match by match for the Chi-Town Rumble. Thumbs up if you like the pay-per-view.
I think this was the best show on either WCW or WWF for this particular month. I think this was by far the best show.
Yeah, in February, I definitely agree for that. Wasn't quite as good as the Rumble for me, though.
No, me either. And like I said, WWF was at a disadvantage this month because they didn't have like a pay-per-view marquee event. Which maybe made this seem even better for me than it probably was just because it was the only card on either side that wasn't just a bunch of freaking squash matches. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed going into matches actually going, who's going to win? I don't know who's going to win this.
Yeah, that is true. I had a problem with some of these matches going a little long. Like the first one was a Michael Hayes versus another masked person.
Russian Assassin, bro. Number 2, who looked different from Russian Assassin number 2 last month when he wrestled.
Yeah, that's a little odd, isn't it?
This guy's like 6'3". The last Russian Assassin was like 5'7". I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, dude, I agree with that completely. Some of these matches are just really drawn out for what they are. Because like Hayes is never in any danger. You know he's going to win this match.
Yeah.
This should be a 5-minute match, not a 20-minute match.
I guess they're like, hey, we're not going to give you a squash match on this event. We're just going to give you a prolonged squash match at this event.
We're going to let Russian Assassin get 5 offensive moves in here instead of the typical, 2.
Yeah. Well, next up was Butch Reed and Sting. This was another long one. I mean, I don't know. Reed controlled the match. Sting got the win. I don't know how I felt about this match because I mean they just got Butch Reed and they're already losing in Sting. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
I have that written too, man. 100%. I said I was not a fan of the finish of this match. The match itself was okay for me. I was not a fan of the finish at all. It just seemed like a cheap out. I was glad that they had a pin. It was nice to see that. So I mean, I shouldn't be complaining because I mean, fuck, that's better than what we've been getting. But yeah, I just think that the finish to this one was a little lazy. And I did enjoy the Steamboat working class hero promo that happened right before this. Because now he's going from family man to, working hard. So yeah. But yeah,
not a great build for Steamboat.
What's up?
It was a great build for Steamboat. I agree with that. But for these two, I don't know. They're just both like lost right now. Lost in the show.
Yeah, I feel like that's why they even paired them against each other. It was because it's just like generic face, generic heel.
There was no build to this match that I saw.
No, minus the one promo. during like it was either during maybe Sting's match on one of the previous shows where the little square came in the corner and Butch Reed's like, Sting, I'm coming for you. But it was like out of nowhere. Like, why are you coming for him? Let's tell the story here. Like, I don't know why you're coming for him. So it was just another spot where I think they wanted to put two of their bigger superstars on the bill, and that was the way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we shouldn't complain because they did have a finish. I just felt like it did nothing for either guy, and it just hurts Butch Reed.
Yeah, it was like they kept Reed strong by having him dominate a lot of this match, and then Sting just kind of got the cheap roll-up win. So I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to keep Sting's momentum intact and still keep Butch Reed billed as like, I beat the heck out of Sting before he got lucky and rolled me up, but it just didn't work for me.
Agreed. And the next match had some fuckery going on because Dennis Condrey decided he's gonna leave the NWA again like he did the first time, and he's not gonna be here for this loser goes home match, which kind of hurt the whole match because you knew it was gonna happen.
Well, yeah, this one took all that. Jack Victory coming in took all the sparkle off of this one because you're like, okay.
I think I read something that it was Jack Victory playing the Russian Assassin in the first match.
That's freaking hilarious. I mean, it looked like him because he was huge. Yeah, that's about right. Because Jack Victory was a big guy. Yeah, I was not a fan of this, and I'm sure it was just because Homeboy was like, I don't want to do this, and so he backed out.
Killed the momentum for this match, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I like Cornette's Midnight Express more anyway.
Yeah.
By a lot. So I mean, I was fine with this as long as Paulie didn't take the pin and have to leave, because I still think even though his and Cornette's promos had been declining, I still think he's one of the stronger people that this company has going for it on the mic. So losing, if he left, it would be just bad.
I will say though that even though this match was a foregone conclusion, I did feel like it brought up the energy for the rest of it kind of set the energy for the rest of the event at least.
Agreed.
It was an energetic match.
No? The match wasn't bad.
Yeah. And every time Cornette was in the ring was pretty entertaining.
Yeah. He's entertaining. Yeah, I agree with that assessment completely.
Now, the next match, I believe, was Rick Steiner and Mike Rotunda, which was another good match. I enjoyed it. Even though I said last week I didn't like the build to this match. I thought this was a good match.
It was. And actually, contrary to the Sting Reed finish, I loved this finish. Even though it was a hokey finish too, this one fit the narrative better to me. Like Rick Steiner pins himself.
Yeah.
He's the slow guy who pins himself, and clearly
with the wrestling move too.
Yes, they're trying to bring Scott in now, so it's clear they're trying to push them towards the tag scene, which they are desperately needed in.
Yeah.
So this might be one of Rick Steiner's last singles. This might have been the end of his singles run.
The one thing about this match that just kind of, I guess I'm getting annoyed with Sullivan and his whole gimmick. I don't understand his gimmick. He's supposed to be evil, but he's just an annoying guy.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like the evil mastermind.
I mean, is this supposed to just be cartoony, I guess? Because that's what it comes off as.
That's how a lot of these guys come off. You wonder, like, if when they were taught to do promos or trained or... I mean, there obviously wasn't the level of training then that there is now, but you see a lot of them just like to talk like this, and they think that's all you have to do to make a promo is to talk like this no matter what you say. And Kevin Sullivan's like the king of that. So I don't get it. He doesn't fit the Varsity Club at all. A little later, they have him leading the like something of terror, like the Circus of Terror carnival, which
is another cartoony bunch of villains, but I guess that fits better.
He can fit with that. Like, I think he's the perfect leader for something like that. But for a group of athletes that are college athletes and stuff, you just wonder if they're all so bad on the mic that they actually thought Kevin Sullivan's just, he's who we got. We're just gonna put him as the mouthpiece of this group.
Next, it was the U.S. title, Luger versus Wyndham.
I like this match.
Yeah, it was another good match.
I like the story. At least this match told a story with the hand injury. You kind of once that happened, you kind of could see the where the chips are gonna fall. But I like that kind of stuff. I mean, that's what it is. It's storytelling.
Yeah.
And so I enjoyed this match because I just thought it was a story told from beginning to end. Bad day for the 4 horsemen or the 2 horsemen.
Yes, it was.
Chicago is not their town.
It was a needed win for Luger because he's coming off a feud where he lost the feud to Flair. So, and he's supposed to be a babyface. You got to do something. And they did the right thing by, I guess, giving him the secondary title.
100% agree. Because other than Steamboat right now, you have no faces.
No.
I mean, you got JYD, who is completely uninvolved. And then you got, if you want to call it like Michael Hayes, Sting. But they need Luger. And because he's that jacked guy. I like this finish. I like this match. Obviously the finish, it seemed like they just reused the Steiner finish that happened literally in the match before. They're like, ooh, this was good. We really like this finish. Let's use it again in the very next match. But it worked both times.
It did work. I agree. I actually enjoyed the TV title match more, but it did work.
Yeah, and I thought it was, it was the exact same finishing scenario, but yeah, I enjoyed it.
And next up for the tag titles with Road Warriors versus Steve Williams and Kevin Sullivan.
And another weird finish. This one was, I mean, not as weird, but this one had one member of each team being pinned at the same time. Except, if you're not the legal man, your pin doesn't matter, Kevin Sullivan. Or Dr. Death, whichever one of you wasn't legal. Yeah,
I agree. I'm already over the Varsity Club, to be honest.
I like Rotunda, but I think that's just because I know who his kids are, and I'm a big fan of his kids. So, yeah, I could do without the rest of them.
Me too. Especially now with Dan Spivey. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
But again, I think it feels like WCW is lacking for heels other than Flair and Wyndham.
Mm-hmm.
So it just feels like these guys are.
Yeah, that's true.
The next best heels, and
All the Road Warriors win that one, and that brings us to the great main event that they've been building towards. Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat. A great match. One of many I think we're going to be seeing this year.
Yeah. This was the first.
Yeah.
And this was, for its time, this was a 5-star match for this time period. And this was a huge deal. Because even if, for the people who watched our last episode, even then, you don't really understand how long Flair has held this title. Because, this is our second. It's like, oh, okay. Steamboat comes in and wins it. But Flair has held this title for a long, long time. This is a deal.
He basically won feuds with both Sting and Luger in 1988. So this is a big deal.
Yeah, this is a huge deal. Massive. And it's going to set the stage for, and I don't know this for sure, I haven't looked it up, but it's going to be Flair, Steamboat, and Luger over the next year.
Yeah, you said star ratings. I did notice dumbass Dave Meltzer at ringside. I will probably refer to him as dumbass Dave on this podcast anytime I have to bring him up because he gets on my nerves.
That's fair.
But he was having a good time during this match. I think a lot of people there was football players on the Bears that were in the audience as well. Everybody was having a fun time.
Yeah, this was just a good match. And this, I mean, obviously we'll recap our matches of the month later, but I think it's a safe bet that this one probably made both of our lists.
100%.
I'm just gonna say this match probably made both of our lists. Definitely the best match on this card.
I am interested in seeing where it stands after all of their matches together this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. I'm anxious to see Flair's promos now that he's not the champ. I'm ready to see that side of him because a lot of his promos while he had the title was about being the man and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I'm ready to see a new side.
Anything else on this match? I did like there was a lot of near falls for Steamboat until he finally gets that near fall. There was some, fuckery with the ref at the end too, making you think he might not. Flair might pull this off because of that. I just know. I liked everything about this match. The energy.
Yeah, the finish was great. The false finish, the ref,
Yeah.
Teddy Long coming in. It was just well done. If you wouldn't have known who was going to win this match. Like really.
I didn't remember who won either. So
me either. This one, I knew Steamboat was going to get it.
Yeah, me too.
At some point, but I wasn't sure if it was going to be their first match. Same. And I'm pretty confident Flair is going to get it back, and then they're going to have more matches after that.
Yeah.
Sure. But who knows if it'll even be their next match that Flair gets it back. I don't know. But these two guys are just good in the ring together. So I'm excited for all their matches.
Yeah, great chemistry. The build of their feud was great. Everything about this match was great. Definitely the match of the month, even though, spoiler, we'll get to the rest of it.
Yeah.
There was one more TV show after this, February 25th. Another thrown together show. Yeah, this is probably recorded before the pay-per-view, I guess, because Flair didn't have a promo, did he? I don't remember. I don't have it written down.
I don't have him on this thing at all. This might be the first show I don't even see Flair on the show. This was like the highlights for me were Steiner's debut. Scott Steiner actually makes his official kind of debut. Yeah. Iron Sheik debut.
Missy Hyatt debut.
Yeah, the ultimate ring rat. There's just so much funny like behind the scenes here because she is really dating or married to Eddie Gilbert at this point in time. Like, they are a real life couple, but then she goes off with Flair. She goes off with a few other guys.
Yeah, I also wrote down, though, I don't know if any of these debuts other than the Scott Steiner is really going to help anything. Iron Sheik or Missy Hyatt. No, they're still lacking in talent compared to all the talent going over to the WWF.
Yeah, and then you have Dick Murdoch actually getting a promo in on this one, setting up a Butch Reed feud out of nowhere because Murdoch just gets on the mic and says, "I want you, Butch Reed." Again, just no storytelling. Like, Dangerous Dan had a promo, which I have the words "fucking joke" written by it. I am not a fan of this guy for some reason. But I have it mostly as a recap show.
Yeah, it was. And they gave away a lot of their pay-per-view at a free show, which I found odd.
Yeah, they did. Like, let's show you the last 15 minutes of the Steiner Steamboat. Of the Flair Steamboat match.
Crazy.
Yep.
Well, I guess that brings us to our score for WCW this month. I was harsh. I'm not going to lie. I was harsh. I had it way down. I loved the Flair Steamboat thing. I literally can't think of anything else I liked, however.
I have them up from where they were.
Yeah, you had them much lower than I did last week.
Yeah, I did. I had them at a 6.5. I actually, simply because of the Chi-Town Rumble, I would like to preface by saying that. Because I agree with your assessment of it's pretty boring other than that show. But I felt like maybe I was a little harsh on them last month. And I really liked a few of the matches on the Chi-Town Rumble. So I actually gave them a 7.5.
We have flipped because I went harsh. I think for me, how bad Clash of Champions was canceled out how exciting some of the pay-per-view was.
That is a fair argument, my man.
I didn't want to give them an F. Because of the Flair and Steamboat stuff was good, but I gave him as close as I could. I gave him a 6.0.
No mercy. Nick went to Cobra Kai school this month.
Yeah, sorry. I couldn't do it. It was Clash of Champions' fault, I think. That gives it a score of a 6.75, which means I believe it dropped a tad bit because last month we had the average score at a 6.95, so it's down to a 6.75.
That's fair.
Yeah. I just wish George Scott was gone, but we still have another month and a half of him as Booker, unfortunately.
Agreed.
Well, on to the WWF. And we begin with the main event, which was the main story of the month for the WWF.
Yes,
We get
sir.
the big match, Twin Towers versus the Mega Powers. But the big spot is a Macho Man getting thrown out onto Elizabeth.
And then Hogan leaves him. Hogan takes her to the back to make sure she's okay, leaves him in the ring to battle the Twin Towers alone. How dare you, Hulk Hogan? What a heel fucking move.
I agree. I mean, I guess he's trying to be the white knight to Elizabeth.
Because he's got lust in his eyes, Nick.
He does have lust in his eyes.
The lust in his eyes, Nick?
The Macho Man did.
God, yeah. This is another Karate Kid story where you see all the stories before Cobra Kai YouTube show comes out, where they're all like, Johnny was actually the good guy. Daniel comes to the beach, kicks over his radio, tries to steal his girl. Like, who's the bad guy here, really? And I feel the same way about the Mega Powers.
I agree. I feel the same way about this feud. Like, how was Macho? Well, he was bad at one point during this, but before all of this, it was Hogan that was kind of, well, Elizabeth too, but those two were kind of the heels of the story.
Yes. Macho Man just looking after his wife. He got his boy making a move on his girl, grabbing her butt when he puts her on the shoulder. Come on. Come on, Hogan, you bad man.
Clearly there was lust.
Clearly. And then the whole backstage antics after this match, I liked. I mean, it's setting up what we need to. Though Savage did get a little heel.
Yeah, through Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was his heel turn right there. Was that? But some of the acting here, I like soap operas, but Hogan was a little too over the top when. Don't die, Elizabeth. I'm like, geez, how's she gonna die? It's not like she's a car accident.
Pushed over. And then you leave your boy in the ring with these two 500-pound dudes by himself.
I know.
Because he fell.
Yeah, that was a little over the top when he was hoping she wouldn't die. Like, there was a chance of that.
Please, Elizabeth, be okay. Please, Elizabeth, I'm holding your hand because I got so much lust in my heart. I just want to touch your hand. Like, come on, Hulk Hogan.
But yeah, after the match, that's when the feud really started because Macho Man.
That was it. We saw him break up. That was the break.
The Mega Powers are over.
They are. I feel like they should have been called the Macho Maniacs. Just feels like it would have been a better name for
the Hogan would have never had that. It has Macho's name and not his. Come on.
But it's Hulkamaniac.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean,
I do wonder why they went with Mega Powers. Is that because of like World War?
Yeah, I guess so. It's just because like the two dominant forces in the sport combined together, and they were. I mean, those are the two top guys. Decided to make a tag team. I mean, the name's fair. It just seems like it was written for Macho Maniacs. It's literally half of each of their names, and it works perfectly.
I mean, another thing we didn't talk about is how, of course, Hogan beats both the Twin Towers. Of course,
of course, of course. After he comes out, and Macho's had enough.
Yeah,
Macho's like, I'm done with you. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Yeah, of course, Hogan wins the match because he's Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Bonehead booking on that one. You do not let Hogan beat the tag team that your mega power tag team has just been feuding with. A better finish to this match was B. Hogan losing because Macho left. That for me,
yeah, I agree,
would incite the feud so much more. But there you starting to see Hogan's ego already. He cannot lose.
Which will never go away, unfortunately.
Never.
The only other match on this was Hercules finally getting a shot at the $1 Million Man after the whole Bobby Heenan sold him to $1 Million Man as a slave storyline. There was a pretty, nothing match. DiBiase, she wins because of Virgil.
Yeah, it was a dirty pin. But a pin. Woohoo! Anytime I see a 1, 2, 3, I get excited at this point in time because we don't see a lot of them, especially when it's two known guys. So I'm fine with this finish. 100%, even though it was a dirty finish. Virgil's got to be the least charismatic / bodyguard I've ever I don't get his purpose. DiBiase's better on the mic, better in the ring. DiBiase just seems like he could use somebody way bigger than Virgil. Like, give him a
True.
giant guy.
Like, you know, Nash and Michaels in a few years when we get there.
Exactly. Like, yeah, like Big John Studd. Put him
Yeah.
behind DiBiase kind of thing. Just a big guy who's not that good on the mic would serve the same purpose as Virgil, but better. But I'm being nitpicky there, I guess.
On to the first prime time from February 6th. This might have one of the matches you're talking about, even though I kind of enjoyed it. But we'll get there. Well, we could start with it. I mean, I guess Rooster got a win though before that.
Rooster did get a win against our other dangerous Danny.
Yes. But then we did have in this event Rick Martel versus Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
I liked the match. I'm sure you didn't like the finish though.
No, I hated it. I hated the finish. I did like the match, but I did. What I have written by this one was how predictable that it went like this. How the finish for me was super predictable. That's all I can say. I mean, they ruined a perfectly good match by giving it a no finish.
Yeah, this was the only match that I didn't mind it for some reason.
I don't know. I think I don't know how long before Martel makes his heel turn. Towards the end of this month, they start talking about him and Tito Santana rejoining a Strike Force again. So, and I think he turns on Tito pretty quick.
I'm thinking so too.
So I think it would have been okay to let Martel lose this one. I really do.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
I don't think it would have hurt his momentum that much because he's about to do the heel turn, which completely changes momentum. So I don't think you need to try to keep both of these guys strong by having the time limit. I think you let Mr. Perfect continue his streak and actually get a win over a notable guy.
One thing I do want to point out, though, is there a better seller than Mr. Perfect? He just sells like a champ. When he gets his legs kicked out, I love that spot every time he does it.
He's the Shawn Michaels. He's got that Shawn Michaels-esque quality of just selling selling so good. And Flair sells really good too.
Yeah, he does.
While commenting on that. And now that I think about it, these are three of my favorite wrestlers of all time. So there's something to be said for that. The guys who sell, it makes you pull for them even more.
It does, yeah.
If they're coming back.
Because it helps them and it makes the other person look like $1 million.
100%. That's the best coworker to have in that business.
Another match, the one thing I do like about WWF compared to WCW is that we do at least get these matchups that aren't squash matches. Because we have Brutus versus Rick Rude here, even though, how I feel about Brutus. Any thoughts on this match?
I liked it. I like everything about it. I even like the dirty pin.
Me too.
Finish. And yes, agreed. It's like pulling teeth to get WCW to get a finish on any of their matches where it's two superstars, or even to get two super
in the same ring.
It has to.
They don't even do that Clash of Champions.
Yeah, except for that one. So yeah, I'm fine with this booking, and I feel like Rude needs the win because he's about to get beat by Warrior. I don't even need to look up the history books to know that.
Yeah.
And for some reason, though, I thought Warrior Hogan was WrestleMania 5 and WrestleMania 6.
Yeah, I think we got a while for that.
I was wondering how they were going to turn this into.
Yeah.
I was like, how are they going to have Warrior and Hogan that fast with the Mega Power split? Sure. I thought they dedicated more to the Mega Power split. And obviously they do because that's the headliner.
Rick Rude's doing a great job with his character just in this match alone. He feels himself, that's for sure.
Yes. Let me tell all you fat, ugly, lazy slobs out there, show y'all what a real man looks like. No, I ain't going there. Yeah, this dude's I remember loving him. Even when I was a little kid who loved faces, I always liked Rick Rude. And he's my mom's favorite wrestler. Shout out to my mom. She had some eyes for Rick Rude. That was her man whenever I used to watch wrestling as a kid.
Some other notes. I wrote a note that, Big John Studd called out Akeem, but going later in the month, we see that that's not going anywhere. We'll get
that might have been an experiment where they were just like, we might need these two guys to feud.
Yeah, I kind of would have preferred that compared to what we're getting, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Jake Roberts was on Brother Love, Brother Love's trying to take up for Andre that he's not afraid of snakes.
Yep.
Another continuation of that feud. And then the main event, once again, two wrestlers, Haku versus Ultimate King Haku versus Ultimate Warrior. I did notice
a match.
a funny sign that I wrote down in the crowd that said anabolic workaholic. I think that was that was pointed at the Wire.
It's funny because it's true. You forgot about my man Barry Horowitz.
I didn't write that down.
Right before the Haku Warrior was my man Barry Horowitz, Jobber Horowitz versus our favorite guy, Sam Houston. Like, I just have, anyway. I bet I don't like Warrior's finisher. Whenever he doesn't do the press,
he
just does the splash.
It's not as effective, that's for sure.
That's a lame ass finisher. You ain't keeping Haku down with that. Come on.
I mean, I guess it's the answer to the leg drop because the leg drop's so powerful.
Fair enough.
Well, on to the February 13th. I don't know where to really start with this. I guess the main thing that I took note of was that, Ted DiBiase's getting his $1 million belt made, which carried on to the next episodes as well.
Ah, yeah. That's a big moment in wrestling history for me.
Yeah.
The inception of the $1 million belt. I don't know how long DiBiase was around after this belt came out, but I think it's a long time because I feel like the million, I picture him with that $1 million belt. So this is a huge moment in wrestling history for me, was the inception of this belt. I didn't remember that it was like done like this. I like it. Goes to the jewelers, the fanciest jewelers in the richest city, richest street in the world. They shut it down so that he can go in and tell him he just wants all the stuff for it. Love it. That was the highlight of this episode for me.
Yeah, it was.
You actually got to see Hitman pre-sharpshooter.
Yeah, he got to win.
Which I always think it's awesome to see like classic wrestlers before they had their classic finishers.
A tag team we didn't talk about last week was the Rockers, who I enjoyed as a kid. So they still have the same energy going on. We don't get to see them often enough yet, but
this one I did research actually after around episode 2 or 3 of this. I was curious as to when the Rockers split, so I'm not gonna give any spoilers.
I feel like it's quite a while.
It is a while. It's actually a few years from this.
Yeah.
One. So the Rockers are just getting going.
Yeah. Let's see what else happened here.
Rick Rude versus Hillbilly Jim. A clean finish. Clean finish. Rick Rude, get you some.
They're pushing Rude for his match.
I think they're just making him. I think because he's going to lose to Warrior, that they just want to keep him.
Yeah. So I mean, so it means a big win for Warrior, really.
Yeah, and it means it's not as big a loss for Rude because he's beating these other established guys. So it means the Warrior's really good and that Rude's still pretty good. And so I like what they did here by giving him a few wins leading up to his match with Warrior, which we don't even know how it's going to finish yet. It could be, I want to say there is a match the Warrior loses to Rick Rude because Heenan holds his legs.
Yeah, I agree.
And this could be that match. So Rude might even win this match, but I like what they're doing here all together with Rick Rude. I wasn't a fan of the main event, the Mr. Perfect versus Brutus count out finish. I didn't like that.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. Because they do need to start giving Perfect some wins that are, legit.
And you just had Brutus lose to Rude. Brutus isn't a face you really need at this point. He's just Hogan's friend. So, it would have been okay for him to lose here. And then I like the Brother Love segment with Heenan and the Brooklyn Brawler.
Yeah, for sure. That was another highlight of this episode.
For sure.
Heenan and getting
Red Rooster is just great.
Yeah, and he also has a way of, continuing to put down the Brawler.
Yes.
He builds him up at the same time.
That's just the magic of Bobby the Brain. This guy's terrible. He never wins nothing, but now he's with me. Oh,
Uh, oh, and Ventura interviewed Macho Man here. He didn't get any answers, but
yeah. That was this. Was this
asked
the
if
interview where he said, "I'll decide" or "I'll think about it"?
yes, yes.
And I mean, Bad News Brown got a win over Coco.
Yeah,
So
they're still pushing him for something.
I'm digging all these finishes lately from WWF because they're still mixing in a few too many of these finishes like the count out with Perfect and Brutus, but at least they're having some finishes.
Yeah. Now the next show, February 20th, was an interesting concept I liked. I don't know if I liked it how they pulled it off, but I did like the concept of the face-to-face little
The
arguments they
debate,
had.
the debate episode, yeah, this was interesting. I like it. I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. I don't know about the execution,
Yeah.
but the idea was good. It was fresh. It was refreshing to see something different and new. And it just broke up the monotony of everything. So it was just nice of them to change it up.
Yeah, I enjoy the outside the box thinking for this little thing. But yeah, nothing did any of them really stand out to you?
Um, no, let me see. I mean, I like the Andre versus Jake Roberts debate probably the most.
Yeah, I agree.
And obviously the Brawler Rooster, but that was because Bobby the Brain was out there doing his thing. Um, as far as the debates go, no, those were my favorite debates.
Yeah, they had some
One of my favorite.
more disrespect for women's wrestling back then when they made that whole debate about Elizabeth.
Yo, yo, no shit. We're not even going to talk about your title match you're about to have. Let's just see who you think Miss Elizabeth's going to be in the corner of. That is, I have that written. Ultimate disrespect. Ultimate disrespect. And I get it. Women's wrestling was not popular then. And outside of Sensational Sherry, you had no women's wrestlers. So I get it, but man, that's disrespectful. You didn't ask anybody else that. It'd be different if you'd asked every other debate person that. And then it's all about Hogan and Savage, which, okay. I mean,
Yeah. I did make a note that I didn't talk about the Red Rooster, that he actually makes a rooster noise now. That's interesting.
and he's doing more of the.
Yeah.
He's really owning the rooster
Yeah,
gimmick.
he is.
We got to see Garvin talk a little bit, him and Dino. No, not too. Nah, I mean the rest of it was just bleh.
Yeah, Macho Man didn't show up for his debate with Hogan.
Of course he didn't.
This is when they made sure to show Elizabeth getting her ass held by Hogan.
Yeah, yeah, of course, because the lust. Hogan, you can't hide the lust, brother.
That was a great touch, though.
Fuck yeah, it was. Macho Man doesn't need to debate Hogan because he's got photographical evidence of everything he wants to say. So Hogan, you're the bad guy. Macho's the good guy, and that's that. He don't need to debate you. Then we had the Demolition Power of Pain match, which was actually other than the Brainbusters, the two biggest tag teams in.
I'm struggling with Demolition. I can't lie. I'm not feeling them.
I don't enjoy them as much as I did when I was a kid.
I don't even know if I enjoyed them as a kid, but I certainly don't enjoy them now.
I'm not going to argue with that. It was also a DQ win.
Yeah.
Didn't even let that one finish clean. And we got some more $1 Million Belt promo.
Then we had the big Rockers and Brainbusters brawl here that was great. I don't understand why this isn't leading to a match between them, because it seems like it's going to be Brainbusters versus Strike Force. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get that either. I think
I want to see the Rockers and Brainbusters, but I don't.
I think it's because I really think I don't know this for sure. This is actually just a complete guess, But I think it's because Martel might turn on Tito during that match. So
Yeah.
they might be using that as a as a quick way of getting Martel to do the heel turn and then bring back the Rockers versus the Brainbusters.
Yeah, I guess this is going to be a prolonged feud between those two teams. A few more notes I have for this show. We had Jim Neidhart versus Honky Tonk Man, which Greg Valentine interfered and Brett made the save. I'm pretty sure that's leading to something.
Can't call it.
And my last note is, which I just don't understand. They're going to make John Studd the special referee for Jake Roberts and Andre after John Studd wins the Rumble. So why did he win the Rumble?
That's what I asked last month. That's what I asked on our last show. It was the stupidest Rumble win ever. Because I don't know where he goes from here. I didn't remember they utilized him like this right after it.
I didn't either.
You have a guy who just wins the biggest match of the year and you relegate him to referee status. Like, I mean, they gave him a handicap match on one of these shows too, but
yeah.
No, I'm not digging that.
Me either. I'm wondering if it's leading to like Andre and him and something.
Gotta be.
But yeah, it's an odd touch after winning the Rumble.
It's gotta be Andre and him.
That.
But I almost can't see him giving. I don't think I can see Jake Snake beating Andre Giant.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Not
I'm
when
enjoying the feud though.
When they give Giant the squash matches against but it's not squash. It's 2-on-1, but he's up against what? Tito Santana and I have it as a handicap match, but it was two guys. It was Tito Santana, maybe like
Jim Powers. Yep.
Yeah. Like those are two actual superstar-ish guys.
Especially Tito.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting one show ahead there, but yeah, I just can't see Snake beating Andre unless Big John Studd does something. So I have to think that if the Snake beats Andre, it's trying to build something for Andre and Studd.
Yeah. Anything else on this debate show?
Nah, it was a nice change of pace, even though most of the debates were a little lackluster.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed the idea, but yeah, the execution didn't quite live up, unfortunately.
Guys are just better on the mic nowadays, generally speaking. Not absolutely. I mean, and I'm not talking about.
I agree with that.
I'm not talking about like the Flayers and the guys that are just elite. I'm saying like your average guy back in the day was really not good on the mic at all.
Yeah, they're very over the top back then.
Which I like though, so I don't understand why I don't like it because I like the big character stuff.
I feel like it's a lot better in the 90s.
Yeah, they have better characters. They all play good characters, man.
This last show, February 27th. Well, but we had the $1 Million Man finally getting his belt. We didn't get to see the belt though. That was the big tease.
Yeah, he looks at it, the glowing aura just kind of shines, and then they're just gonna leave it to be continued. I have this show as summarized. This is the only show I summarized for some reason, but I have tons of good matches without clean finishes, double countouts, etc.
There was a lot of that. There was Dino Bravo and Brutus. Brainbusters picked every win. Lou Spicoli was one of those jobbers. He goes on to some ECW and WCW stuff. And then, yeah, we had the Andre beating up Tito Santana and Jim Powers. Like, they're pushing Strikeforce getting back together, and then they have Tito. I mean, Tito didn't take the big losses in this match, but still.
Yeah, I think they're just utilizing what Strikeforce was to get the Martel. I really think that's what they're about to do. Because Strikeforce was, like, they were champs. They were, like, the tag team not too long before this. So I think they're just giving them one last, not even run, just utilizing that name value one last time.
Makes sense.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, Tito's going to kind of be mid-card U.S. title kind of guy for the remainder of his career. But I do think he actually gets the U.S. title or Intercontinental title a couple times.
Demolition was on Brother Love, and I'm just still not feeling them. Don't really care about this feud with the Powers of Pain, even though the story is that Mr. Fuji's the story, I guess. But
Yeah, because he went from one to the other. He had used to
yeah,
manage Demolition, which is saying a lot because I enjoy Brother Love segments a lot. And
me
this
too.
was probably my least favorite one, which
I agree.
can only go to say that I don't like Demolition.
Yeah, Demolition just has not aged well. I just don't get them. I don't care about them. It's not. I don't know.
They were WWF's cheap ripoff of the Legion of Doom Road Warriors. That's what they were. And it's more evident than ever watching it nowadays.
Yeah, it is. Rooster versus Mr. Perfect. Heenan and the Brawler came out.
This was another one of those matches without finish kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't give Mr. Perfect a clean win over the Red Rooster, come on, man. And I get it. You're trying to keep Rooster relevant for his match with the Brooklyn Brawler, but you're talking about two of the ultimate, I don't want to say jobbers, but I mean, fuck. Let's be real.
It's true, especially the Brooklyn Brawler.
I know. It's like you're not fooling anybody here, WWF.
But I mean, I guess I at least like the Heenan side of the story.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going anywhere, but they were also teasing, though. They were teasing Heenan, and Mr. Perfect as a thing, which will eventually come together.
Does it?
I'm pretty sure.
I wasn't sure if I know the Genius pops in here somewhere. I didn't remember Mr. Perfect ever having a manager who wasn't the Genius.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I guess swear I remember them together at one point.
They're good. They'd be a good team.
Well, that could be in the future, though. Maybe it's when Flair comes to WWF. Because I remember Heenan with both of them, but I could be wrong.
Heenan should be with everyone.
Right? Well, we have Haku versus Rick Martel, a time limit draw.
Martel, king of the time limit draws.
He really is. I think your summary for this show was right. There were some good matches, but yeah, they all ended.
Considering the quality of the matches, where it wasn't a lot of squash matches on this show, I have the fewest notes on this show of all of them. And literally what I have written is just this was a bunch of double countouts, garbage. Like, I just want to see some finishes, which they gave us. I shouldn't be too hard on them, but nah.
Well, we'll get to the scoring for WWF in February of '89. I did drop lower, but not that much lower. My main thing is because I'm starting to dread watching WCW TV, to be honest. But actually, I look forward to primetime, even with these bad finishes. So I gave it a 7.9. I gave it a C+.
I gave it a 7.9 as well.
Wow, we are on the same page with the 7.9s. I don't have to do any math, no calculators.
I dropped them quite a bit.
Yeah, you did. That was the whole point for you. Our average for them dropped, let's see, from an 8.65 to a 7.9.
But I still have them being the better show overall. It's more entertaining.
Even with no pay-per-view, they were still the better product.
Without the Chi-Town Rumble, WCW gets blown out of it.
God, if they didn't have that, I probably would have gave it a 30, 3.0.
No shit.
Well, WWF picks up the win again, currently leads 8 points to 0. And until George Scott's ass is out of here, I don't know if WCW is going to win March either. But we'll see.
It's going to be more about WWF's going to have to drop the ball.
Yeah, I
just don't think WCW has the clout all around to compete.
Hey, Joe, I could swear I remember 1989 being a good year for WCW, but maybe I just enjoyed the Flair and Steamboat feud.
That's one of the only relevant things of this year, if I'm not mistaken, because like I remember I didn't really like WCW until Nitro started, which I don't think was till like maybe 91.
That's a 95.
It was 95. Oh shit. Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be a rough patch for old WCW.
I'm hoping when George Scott is out here in April that they start at least improving to some extent.
When they reform the Four Horsemen, they get that act together. I think that'll help a lot.
Let's go to our top threes. Start with tag teams. I have the hardest time with tag teams. I feel like we don't see enough of them
I
for
do
me
too.
to
I have
really.
the hardest time with these two.
I'll go first, I guess. I gave, even though I'm not enjoying them at all, there's at least relevance. I put Demolition at 3. I put the Brand Brush at that 2 because I enjoy them more than Demolition, and the Road Warriors at 1 because I think you were right last month that they're probably the most built tag team right now.
Yeah, I have similar standings. My number 3 is Cornette's Midnight Express. I felt like they got a lot of airtime this month. I was trying to be a little more balanced in my ratings in terms of not using like my wrestling knowledge, but actually looking at the month, which I'm trying to do better about that. Just taking it month by month because that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have the Midnight Express at 3. I have Demolition at 2, and then I have the Legion of Doom at 1. Demolition, I'm with you too. I don't really care for them, but they get a lot of airtime. They did this month, and they're built as a very strong tag team this month.
I have a hard time seeing them ever getting to my number 1, but maybe they'll prove me wrong. Matches, I think we both know what number 1's going to be, but I'm interested to hear what was your number 3.
So what I think is interesting about matches is even though I have WWF as the superior show, all 3 of my matches are from WCW. I got Steiner Rotunda at number 3. I have Luger and Wyndham at number 2, and I have Steamboat and Flair at number 1. All stall matches from the Chi-Town Rumble. I could have switched 2 and 3 because I enjoyed Steiner Rotunda and Luger Wyndham a lot. I just found it peculiar that all 3 of my favorite matches were from WCW, even though I enjoyed WWF more.
Yeah, WCW definitely has the better matches. I actually had a WWF match at number 3, though. I know you didn't like the finish, but I enjoyed the Martel and Perfect match for what it was, even though it ended in a draw. I put that at number 3. My number 2 was Rick Steiner and Mike Rotunda. I enjoyed that better than the Luger match for whatever reason. And then, yes, Flair and Steamboat number 1 for Chi-Town Rumble. For sure.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I mean, I just didn't like the finish. I think it took some of the polish off the Martel Henning match. But those are 2 all-time greats. So it's nice to see 2 of the all-time like upper mid card.
Yeah. We'll go tit for tat feuds again. I guess I'll start number 3. I still had Andre and Jake at 3 again, even though they don't get the most airtime. It entertains me every time it's on.
I have the same thing at number 3, brother.
I feel you.
I actually think they built up the feud a lot more on this one.
Yeah.
They're making the snake a big part of it. So in terms of the feuds we're seeing, I think there's literally only 3 choices in my brain, and this seems to be the third of the 3.
Yeah, I think we might have the same exact top 3 then. My 2 is Hogan and Macho Man.
We got our first 2 switched.
Oh, okay.
I have Steamboat and Flair at number 2. Though I do think they're gonna flip to number 1, or because I think this Mega Powers thing is just gonna be for the next month or 2, or this month and next month maybe. But yeah, I got Steamboat and Flair at number 2. You're muted.
My bad. As bad as WCW has been, I just think that I've enjoyed the Flair Steamboat feud a lot.
Yeah. The reason I think I had the Mega Powers at 1 is simply because it was just 2 of the, like I said, I mean, and so are Steamboat and Flair, but Macho Man and Hogan were 2 of the biggest faces for so long. And just seeing the savage heel turn, which me and it's really up. This is just, I don't know. It was one of the most biggest implosions of all time. So, but I could have gone either way with 1 and 2.
Yeah, I agree. It's very, very flip floppy there. That leaves us with superstars.
Whew. So again, I did it again. All three of my superstars also come from WCW.
Really?
Yeah. My number 3 is Lex Luger. I feel like he's finally getting a push at this point, and it's nice to see.
I finally put Flair in my top 3. I put him at 3 though. Even though he's great at promos, I just don't feel like he's not the man right now to me anyway.
My number 2 is Ric Flair. I think I had him at number 1 last month. He took a step down. He obviously just lost the title. He's not the man, but I think he is still just Atlas holding up the WCW on his shoulders single-handedly. And there's something about that I love.
Yeah, he's definitely that. I put my one WWF guy is at number 2. I think he went in from number 3 for me last week, was the Macho Man. Even though he was driven to be in a heel, I do love him as a heel. He's a very entertaining heel to me.
If I could have put a number 4, that he would have been my number 4, because his promo work was really good. His ring work's always been really good. I wouldn't be surprised if he cracks. He just didn't have any signature matches in this month.
Yeah. I assume that leaves us both with Steamboat at number 1.
It does. Dude, just, that was again, I don't mean to harp on it again, but this was a legendary win. Ric Flair held this title for a long, long time. For Captain Dad, working class, just superhero to come in and win this. Natural choice for number 1 for the month of February.
I agree. It was a great moment, and he was the ultimate face by saying he's going to do something and doing it. He came to the WCW to win the title, and he wins the title. So, yes, Steamboat definitely was the superstar of February 1989. Well, that concludes this week's episode, Fan Guy. How do you think March is going to be?
I'm anxious to see the Mega Power split up more. I'm anxious to see. And we got Mania is not till April, which is weird because they've been hyping up Mania a lot in this month. Does the WWF have a pay-per-view in March?
I believe they have a Saturday night main event.
Okay.
But no pay-per-view.
I'm actually thinking it's going to be kind of as weird. Based on that, I think it's going to be a down month for WWF. Maybe not over worse than WCW, but I think it's just going to be more of the same until we get to Mania.
Yeah, unfortunately, I agree. I don't think WCW has any event, though, so it's probably going to be a pretty easy WWF win again. But hopefully WCW turns it around soon when George Scott is gone.
I think we're going to see a lot of repeat stuff in March from February on both sides. I think it's just going to be a lot of continuation.
Now we might have a third man for next week's podcast. We'll see if it works out.
Nice.
We might have a European coming, get a European opinion.
Let's go.
We could chant USA at him. He could be the heel.
Ho!
But we'll see if that works out or not. If we have a third man in the NWO for at least a week anyway.
Yeah, love it. Let's get some fresh blood.
All right, Fan Guy, I want to thank you as always. I'll see everybody for next week's episode of Who Really Won the Wrestling War.